I'm going to read a book called my brand new book that came out this May. It's called Big Truck Little Island. It's a very simple story, and when I first heard about this several years ago when they were building the turbines on the island, I thought it was a great example of friendship, cooperation, trust, working together, problem solving, all those things that I think are important to kids. But before I started this book, I called someone here on the island and I asked if this story was true, and she said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure that happened." She said, "But why are you writing a book about it?" And I said, "Because I think it's a great example of trust, cooperation, all that stuff for kids." And she said, "But we do that every day." And I said, "Okay, you do it every day, but over in Camden, we would never even think of doing this because it's so, I think it's just such a perfect example of community." So that's why I wrote this story. Like I said, it's a very simple story, but I think it has a lot of layers to it. So let's read. Oh, and by the way, even though this is based on your beautiful island, you'll notice that I did change things around. I did took some liberties with the stories. It's not carrying wind turbine blades, which is what the real truck was carrying, but you'll see that when we get to the end of the story. And also, there are fictional characters, and the island does not look exactly like Vinalhaven, so I apologize for that. So I basically stole your story and then changed it around. Sorry about that. All right, so this is the title page, Big Truck Little Island. This is dedicated to my friend Jan Coates, who's here, right over there in the purple. She's the leader of Island Readers and Writers, and she knows more about islands and kids and schools and island community than anybody, and I thought it was just the perfect book to dedicate to my friend Jan. So this is the title page. It shows a truck on a big barge. It's got a trailer with all wrapped up with something, and there's a tugboat, and they're heading out to the island. Out on the ocean one bright summer day, bound for an island still 5 miles away, a tugboat was towing a truck on a barge, a truck that was hauling a load extra large. The cargo it carried was all under wraps, tied to the trailer with buckles and straps, facing a twisty and treacherous ride to get to the field on the far eastern side. So I know this is kind of small for you guys to see, but it's clearly marked that there's a twisty road that goes across the island to this field on the upper east side. The barge reached the ramp, the truck trundled off, it bucked up the bridge with a wheeze and a cough. Then slowly but surely it chugged up the road, lugging its 20-ton oversized load. One narrow roadway transected the island, and the driver had driven it less than a mile when he came to a switchback terribly tight, then felt the whole payload shift off to his right. The trailer was tipping, everything slipping. The wheels in the way back were no longer gripping. They skidded and slid off the road, and then thud. They landed and lodged in the soft, sticky mud. Two cars in a hurry arrived from the north. Then from the south came a third and a fourth. They waited and wished that the traffic was flowing. They had things to do, and they had to get going. I don't know if you guys can see, but there are kids in all four of those cars, and they've got places to go. So we're going to start down here and figure out where they have to go. Meg had a swim meet at 3 at the pool. She swam the fly for her team at the school. And Barry was already late for ballet. He needed to practice his Batman frappe, which is actually a real thing. And it rhymes with ballet, so that was good. Pete had a project to finish with Paul, a working volcano with lava and all. And Sue had to be at the dog wash with Bunk, her sheepdog, who tried to make friends with a skunk. Do you guys have skunk from Vinalhaven? I'm going to talk to my fact checker at the publisher. They missed that one. Parental frustration soon started to show. How could they get where they needed to go? They stewed and they steamed, their faces grew red when all of their children convened up ahead. Since Meg lived by Barry and Barry knew Pete, and Pete was Sue's neighbor on Sycamore Street, and Meg was in art club with Barry and Sue, they quickly decided as friends what to do. Barry said, listen, let's all exchange cars. We'll borrow yours, and then you borrow ours. I'll switch with Pete, and Meg swaps with Sue, and later we'll trade our cars back when we're through. That's exactly what you guys did up here. The parents agreed the solution was great. By borrowing cars, they'd no longer be late. And so they departed and went on their way to the pool or the dog wash, to Paul's or Bella. And as for the big rig, that too was okay. A wrecker was summoned and toted away to the far eastern field where later that night, all was revealed to the people's delight.